It's All-Star Weekend in the NBA. We also had a brawl that happened in hockey, and we have much more coming up with coaching in the NFL. We're going to make our prediction on who would be the best to play for. We've got some cheaters in the NBA. That and more next on Good Sports. Thanks for joining us. I'm Randy Goode, and I am joined alongside Trent Sneed again, and making his, I guess it's his return from a little lapse of being able to be here. We are grateful to have Cameron Harkleroad back. We don't have a camera on him, but we have him here so you can hear him. Thank you for joining us, Cameron. We are so glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me, man. I miss being here, so...
Well, it is awesome to have you back. Drew is away today, so he won't be with us. But it's perfect time for you to come back, and so we are grateful to have you. As always, we really appreciate the support. We had a bunch of subscribers again this week. We're trying to get to 300 subscribers, so please hit that. If you have not done so yet, please hit that button just real quick. Boom, you hit it. It makes a big difference, and it helps us get our content out, and you'll get more and more from us, and so we appreciate that. But the NFL season is over, but NFL doesn't ever end. But we got a lot of things that happened this weekend that we want to talk about. So now the Super Bowl's over, but we had the dunk contest. We had the three-point shootout. Let's start with All-Star Weekend. Mac McClung, 3 times he has now won the dunk contest. That guy has come out of nowhere and done some amazing things. He's now in the dunk contest, made 3 times more in the dunk contest than he's made in his NBA career, which has been about 4 years. We'll talk about that in a second. But a 3-time, nobody's ever won 3 times in a row. There's been 2 people that have won 3 times. So we have Nate Robinson won it 3 times. And my question for you guys, Trent, you join in, and Cam, anytime you want to jump in, you can do that. Is Mac McClung the best dunk contest winner of all time, since he's now won it 3 times back to back? And the dunk contest, I will just say this, is nowhere near what it used to be. No. However, this guy goes in and is electric. He's awesome. So, what do you think, Trent?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. No one really watches the dunk contest.
Not anymore.
Not the way it used to be.
Yeah.
I remember, Cameron, you probably remember this, but like when Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine.
That was the best dunk contest.
I was glued to my seat. I quite literally was just locked in, right? You could not pay me enough money to leave my chair.
That brought it back.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And I think the hard thing now is like, I don't want to take anything away from Mac. Okay, He's gone out there. He's proved it 3 years in a row. I know last year specifically, some people were like, well, I don't know that he necessarily won it, but he didn't necessarily lose it. Okay, and for this year, I'm just like, okay, well, he earned it again. Mm-hmm. The problem I have with the whole thing, though, is some of the greatest athletes in the NBA don't do it. And it's because they just don't want to. Or they get paid too much money, and they're like, why risk getting injured dunking a basketball when I'm going to get paid millions of dollars just to play basketball?
Yep.
So, like, for him, it means something, but for everybody else, not really. Would you agree, Cameron?
Yeah. I mean, Mac McClung is definitely a special little niche in the dunk community. I used to watch him growing up. I used to watch his high school basketball tapes and his college tapes. He was always, like, this crazy, like, bouncy kid, And I don't know if you guys know the story of his first dunk contest, but he didn't have an NBA contract.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted him to compete in the dunk contest because he was that good at dunking.
Yeah.
So Philly signed him for a
10-day
contract just to participate in the dunk contest, and he won.
Yep.
And then he come back.
Now he just keeps on getting 10-day contracts to dunk.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is unfair to him because I think I personally think he's a good basketball player. Like I said, I used to watch all those tapes all the time. But sometimes it doesn't carry over to, NBA pace.
This is the thing, though, is he's definitely in the dunk community. He's definitely not the greatest dunk community dunker either.
He's
like,
close.
Jordan Kilgannon is way.
Yeah, but
I mean, that
that's-
guy's on a whole nother level.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother side. That's like comparing Kyrie Irving to the professor.
That's true. That's true. That is very true.
Deep cut there.
Yeah, that was
no,
good.
that was good. I like that.
That was old school.
I love the professor. That's awesome.
But like that sort of idea of like, well, yeah, they're both playing basketball, but there's kind of two different genres of basketball. There's street ball, which I would put Jordan in, and then I would say there's like real life application basketball, like stuff you could genuinely do in a game. And I think most of the dunk contest things, minus some of the crazy stuff like jumping over the car, that doesn't really happen in a game. But
Yeah.
and I think this year especially, it looked like the competition was awful. I don't know I don't even know half the people they picked.
Chicago Bulls. That was, and then they had one. One guy looks like he's doing layups.
Yeah, they just
was pretty weak.
couldn't make anything,
Yeah,
and it was just very hard to watch.
yeah. It was, except for he has the it factor,
Oh yeah,
and it's only him.
Mhm.
You know, they had. I'm drawing a blank on the guy from the Spurs. He had some good dunks in the game.
Yeah.
The other two, nothing. And there's only 4 people. How can the NBA have the athletes that they have and they cannot produce?
They only shoot threes now, Randy.
That's true.
Well,
That's
it's
actually true
because-
now.
it's because they asked everybody every year.
Yeah.
You know, it's the dunk contest now is sort of an open invitation, and basically it's a matter of, do you want to participate in this or not?
Right.
And if you do, cool. And
Yep.
if not, they just have to keep going down the line until they find someone that does want to participate in it. That's why you see a lot of times it's a lot of young guys, a lot of guys in their first or second year trying to get a name for themselves.
It's
and,
all
you know,
about, it's a,
Jamie, who was a rookie,
Yeah.
or Jaime. Sorry, my bad. I don't know why I said that. I'm
I
not
think-
even looking at his name right now. It's Jaime from the Miami Heat. He was
Yeah.
a rookie last year, and he did it.
so I think there's a lot of since LeBron never wanted to do it, it became more fashionable for the stars to not want to compete in it, which is too bad. But Mac is fun to watch.
Yeah.
What he did this year and the first year,
Mhm.
he came out of nowhere and it was awesome. Now, I wanted to just share something. So I want to ask though, so I give him all the credit. I think it is a great story. It is phenomenal. Do you know how many years he's played in the NBA?
he's technically been eligible for the NBA in 4 years.
4 years. 4 years.
His
Do you know how
first
many
year was
games he's
2020.
played in 4 years?
4.
5 games now.
5.
5
All
games, which means he's not legitimately
He has made
an
100
NBA player.
Yeah.
They're basically saying, hey, guy off the street, because you're not an NBA. If you've played 5 games in 4 years, you're not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Bronny's played that many games this
True.
year.
Yeah.
So it's like, that means they still don't have anybody in the NBA that's actually competing in the dunk contest.
Yeah, and the thing I worry about the most about this actually is if they can do this with Mac McClung, where they just sign people
Yeah.
for 10-day contracts and have them compete in the dunk contest, the dunk contest is no longer going to be with real NBA players.
No, it's not the
They're
NBA
just gonna-
dunk contest.
They're just going to grab random people and be like, oh, you can dunk.
Yes.
And then,
Off the street.
Yeah,
We'll sign you the day before the dunk contest.
yeah, it's...
I just can't believe, but you're right. Part of it is the NBA's gone to a 3-point shooting game, but with the athletes, you should be the best athletes in the world, and you can't produce a good dunk contest
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
with
there's,
actual NBA players.
there's definitely people that in the NBA right now that could 100% compete in the dunk contest, and it would be enjoyable to watch, like stars.
Yeah.
Like if we got
Oh, yeah.
Morant.
John Morant,
John Morant.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
Anthony Edwards,
Yes.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we get what's that guy?
Donovan Mitchell
He
won
was
it once
on-
back about 8 years ago.
He was on the Heat. I think
I'd like
Donovan
to see
Mitchell-
Wembanyama do some stuff.
I would not want to
No.
see Wemby. I wouldn't.
You were doing good there for a
Yeah,
while.
it was cool, and then it wasn't.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I just think I wish they did something. I wish the NBA players took it upon themselves and said, the ratings aren't very good. We struggle with All-Star Weekend. Let's take this on and give the fans what they need. They're the reason why we make $250 million contracts. You know, let's do this right. And they're just like, nope, I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to hurt my name. And I just think it's too bad. I mean, I love the story with Mac McClung. I think it is incredible. What he just did, his dunks that he's doing are insane.
Yeah.
He's not really an NBA player. And he's only playing for this. So I think that's too bad. The three-point shootout, it's not as good without Steph Curry.
No.
Steph Curry is just, you know, Klay Thompson, I think, has actually the prettiest shot. I think he had.
He's the most fundamental.
Yeah, his was beautiful. But Steph has just got salsa to his game. I mean, he's just fun to watch, and he's done a great job. He's one of the few NBA players that kept doing it for a long time.
Yeah, it was
Put
awesome.
his name out there, and I thought that was phenomenal what he did. Last year going against, was it Sabrina or whatever?
Sabrina.
That was awesome. They both did a great job.
They were supposed to do it this year too, but for some reason it got canceled.
But
This
that,
is what bothers me, is it wouldn't have been as big of a deal if he would have still done the 3-point contest against Sabrina. But because they removed that completely and then also didn't have him do the 3-point contest, that kind of sucked.
That did.
They had Dame in there.
Yeah.
And Damian,
Dame
Lillard.
Dame's done it a lot.
Dame
Yeah, he
does
has
it
done a lot. He has done it a lot. Tyler Hero won it.
Yeah, let me
Barely made the finals.
gotta love Hero.
Buddy
White
Hield.
boy.
Buddy Hield in the first round he had 31.
I love Tyler Hero. I got a Tyler Hero jersey. You know that?
Do you?
Yeah.
Well,
I should wear it
he won in
sometime.
the finals.
Well, he's the biggest star on the Heat right now. So
No, actually, Wiggins has been playing good.
I haven't paid attention.
Yeah, he's actually been playing well.
So
I don't know what that's about. I told Grace when he got traded, I was like, there's a chance that he could resurrect his career. Anyways,
is he playing as good as Dookie Stain is? Did
no.
you see that?
No.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
This is okay. Back on track. Back on track. Let me just say this. I love Tyler Hero, but he won with 24 points.
Yeah.
Steph Curry,
I know that's
used to win with 30 something.
It's not just that. They've changed the point system. When they used to do this, you used to just shoot baskets. Then they added 2 points to the last shot. Now there's a whole thing that gets you 2 points, and now there's a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah.
So to try to get the numbers up. But anyway, but he won.
He did win.
He won, and that's cool. I mean, he came through at the end. Buddy Hield, I think, had the
Former
best
sixth
overall.
man of the year, Tyler Hero.
Buddy Hield came back and almost made all 5 of his last rack, and he would have tied, but fell just short. So good for him. But I don't know if you guys saw this. This was in kind of the lamer part.
Yes.
Okay, so Wemby and Chris Paul team up in the team competition, and they cheat.
Yes.
So they take basically, I don't know if it's an official cheat.
They didn't
but
even try to make the baskets.
yeah, so it's a speed competition. They're doing their little thing. Hopefully we'll get Drew to help show it. And instead of going to the other end of the court and shooting the shots as fast, because they don't have to make it, it's a time thing. They just have to shoot them. They just chuck the ball. And then when Chris Paul went and he did the same thing.
Yeah.
And they got DQ'd.
Yeah.
At the All-Star game, they
Yeah.
cheated. I thought it was great. Well, I didn't think it was great. I was shocked by it. What do you think?
Listen, in my opinion,
Nope.
we know what the rules are.
Yeah.
If you're not cheating,
You're not trying?
you're not trying.
Well,
Everybody knows that, okay?
so
And the fact that the NBA DQ'd him, okay? I'm looking at you, Mr. Commish, okay? We got a problem here. Because you know what? Al Davis is rolling over in his grave thinking about the fact that these men who are visionaries got disqualified.
technically it wasn't in the rule. They did technically just disqualify him because they said, we don't like what you're doing, so they DQ'd him. But what do you think about it? You are watching that competition has drove me nuts because they don't try.
They don't ever try.
They're slowly jogging up the court.
It's a speed competition.
I'm too cool.
And they're like,
I just hate it. I hate
the whole
it.
time.
No, I hate that. And
I bet you I could go out there and run it faster than
and they
do.
still weren't sprinting. They're jogging up the court, and then they just chuck the balls to the side. Like, I'm going to be in a hurry for this part. So the whole thing is a sham.
I think the last time I saw people actually like try on that was when it was Donovan Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Fox was
those
flying.
Those two are crazy.
Yeah, Fox was flying.
Yeah.
That's good.
They need to spice it up. And
They do need-
we just got through. I was telling Cameron this. We just got through the fact that no one liked the Pro Bowl, the football Pro Bowl either.
Yeah.
So we need to figure it out.
Yeah, they got to figure it out. Okay.
Hear me out.
You don't like dodgeball?
Who's watching a flag football game?
Okay. Listen, you know who got it figured out?
I love the fact we have Eli and Peyton. Like, I think that whole dynamic duo thing, I think that's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't want to watch flag football. I want
No.
to see people break each other's necks.
Yes. It's nice when you
Is that
see
too
the
far?
best
That's
two.
too far.
Well,
My
no,
bad.
the best two. When you have a linebacker come up and lay the wood to a tailback, it's special. It's like, pro, who's gonna win?
I want to see best on best.
Yes, that's the way it used to be. I agree, but when there's more money involved,
And they're not
they don't try as
I
hard
think-
anymore.
I also think that if the All-Star or the Pro Bowl specifically was put either after the postseason or towards the end of the season, where the players didn't have as much skin in the game. Like, a lot of those players still have playoffs, so they don't want to play too hard and injure themselves in the Pro Bowl. But if it was after the Super Bowl, after the playoffs, they have nothing.
Well,
They have nothing but time.
The Pro Bowl is now after the season, except they just don't have people that are in the Super Bowl in it.
Yeah.
So their season is over.
But they used to. That's
But
another
they
thing that
used to, yeah.
sucks is you play your heart out all year, okay,
Yep.
and then you don't even get to go to the Pro Bowl
If you're the best team,
because you are the best team. So the Kansas City Chiefs and Eagles both didn't have their players there,
no,
and none of those players get any reward for working their tails off.
they
all
should
year.
do it the week after the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they used to do it that way, and the excuse was the players were taking time off and they were worried about getting hurt because they hadn't played for a while.
Pay him more money.
Yeah,
If it's that big of a deal,
It's
pay him more
ridiculous.
money.
I agree. But you know who's got it figured out? The one sport where they're still going at it strong, the NHL. Because in the NHL, the four nations are at it. And so you got four nations that play each other. In the first round, it's Team USA versus Team Canada. They play each other. And in Canada, they boo the American national anthem, or not the anthem. I think it was during the song. Yeah. So they're singing the song. They're getting booed. Then the game begins. They're not playing flag football and hockey. There is, as soon as they drop the puck, fight one. Then they stop, and then as soon as they clear them off, they drop the puck, fight two. 2 fights, 3 seconds. They throw down, and then they're like, okay, it looks like we're gonna get back to hockey. This is like just no big deal. And
They had 3 fights.
and then 6 seconds later, fight number 3.
It was within 9 seconds.
9
That's
seconds,
insane.
3 fights. Team USA gets booed, but they have the last laugh. They win the game. They win the fights. Congratulations. If you want passion, you will not find it in the NBA. You will not find it in football, but you will find it in those boys that have lost a lot of their teeth in hockey. They will fight. So that was interesting.
This is what I love,
It's
right?
because in hockey there's no real punishment for fighting.
No.
Yes.
No.
They get put in timeout for like 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and then they're like,
They
you're
just
good.
sit and wait.
You're like,
I
"All
love
right,
it.
come back."
The rule is go ahead and tell somebody falls to the floor and there's blood. We'll get involved. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's honestly sad that we don't get to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey brought this up on their podcast a long time ago,
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's a great idea. Just let the football players fight it out."
Yeah, why can't they do that? Why can't you have Ray Lewis just say, hey, you and me, we're both going to take some 15-yard penalty. Let's go. And they do it, and a hockey player can't get out of it. If somebody calls you out, that's kind of what they did with the second fight. They just said, you and me were next.
Listen, if you think about it theoretically, if two players did mutually decide to fight on a football field, they would get deferred penalties, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
offsetting penalties.
The problem is
They'll get ejected. That's the problem.
no, the problem is that most of the people on a hockey rink are all around the same size.
Yeah.
That's true.
If you put say a D lineman and a wide receiver
That's-
get into it, you got a 360.
Pat McAfee versus
Yeah.
Chris Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that right there will teach our American kids
Yes.
that you don't mouth off to someone who's bigger than you.
You put Devontae Smith versus Nick Bosa.
The
and
Slim
that's-
Reaper.
That's what you have going on.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
the problem.
You know, they did back in the day with Major League Baseball. We talked about this. Pete Rose, rest
Rushing
in
the mound.
peace. You know, when he
We don't
came
rush
home,
the mound enough anymore.
Well, but he came over on third base, rounded third, plays at the at the plate, and he just plowed over and I think dislocated the shoulder of the catcher in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
That was the good old days. That's when there was passion. Now it's cupcakes, high fives, helping you up. No, ole, you can go. They're throwing underhand. Everything's different. I applaud the fact that Team USA, you got booed and then you took it out on Canada. It's beautiful.
How did you say you can go?
What do you mean? I don't know. I say go. Whatever. I was passionate. I don't remember exactly. Ole.
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 There's nothing more.
I think
Team USA.
I think that's a soap company, actually.
I just wish they played with more passion. Everything was more passion. The NBA All-Star Game, they used to go for it, and they hated each other, and they played hard, and now they don't even try.
Yeah.
It's a
Well-
joke. The All-Star Game is an utter joke.
Yeah, and this year they did it in a 4-team thing
Yeah.
too.
Mm.
And they're having broadcasters pick teams.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing it's just...
Well, it was fans pick the teams.
yeah. Well, I mean, but then they pick their rosters
Yeah.
on their teams, and it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know, the whole thing is a sham. The whole NBA is now just a 3-point shootout. So.
Listen, fans should have absolutely nothing to do with picking the players.
Mhm.
They do that for the Pro Bowl, too. Like, you can get Pro Bowl, like Pro Bowl, it's voted on by the fans.
Yeah.
And there is some like actual analysis where there's other voters who are weighted differently for the NFL Pro Bowl,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of it picked on the fans. And then you have football players like I think Jordan Mailata. He was all pro because it's actually voted on by football players and actual journalists.
Yeah.
But then he didn't even make a Pro Bowl. So you have an all pro tackle who's not even a Pro Bowler. Like that makes zero
it doesn't.
sense whatsoever.
Well, in '92, Magic Johnson started for the Western and he wasn't even in the NBA. He had retired.
Yeah.
And so, fans voted him in anyway. They just wrote him in. And then he starts.
That's actually
And
hilarious.
so, anyway, I'm proud of you, Team USA. That was awesome. I just think that was great. It was nice to see something where there's passion, and then you stood up for yourself when you guys got booed.
This is
So-
why we love the Olympics.
Yep. All right, so we've got the draft coming up, and there's one player in particular that probably talked about as much as anybody from Colorado, Travis Hunter.
Shadur Sanders. Wait.
No,
what?
no. We're talking Heisman Trophy.
Okay.
Okay, and he can play on both sides of the ball.
Okay.
Conceptually.
My question is, do you think he will play regularly both sides of the ball at the next level? What do you think?
I think he will, and the only reason I think he will. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Cameron, hear me out. Whatever football team this kid goes to
Yeah,
is going to be a poverty organization.
right. Selling jerseys, selling
What's
tickets.
going to sell more jerseys than the PR stunt
The
that is
next
Travis
Deion
Hunter?
Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some kid who's out there playing wide receiver and quarterback, and he doesn't even have to do it good. He
Yeah.
doesn't even have to do it good
Yeah.
because that poverty organization
Yep.
is going to say, that's going to sell tickets, baby.
Yeah.
Give me more tickets. Think of like the Jacksonville Jaguars. At one point, they couldn't even fill the stadium, so they added a swimming pool. You think if a team's willing to stoop down to adding a swimming pool to their stadium, they're not going to steep down to making a player play both ways as a PR stunt?
Yeah.
They will. Imagine he goes to Carolina. Carolina, their tickets cost $12 on average. Okay? You think Carolina isn't going to do a PR stunt just to get their ticket sales to go up to at least $50 a piece?
But he's a legitimate athlete too.
He is.
He's a stud.
But there's no player in the NFL, no matter how talented you are, that's going to play full-time both sides of the ball.
No.
Now, he might be able to be a full-time cornerback, which is what he's listed as for the draft.
Cornerback, yes.
He's listed as a full-time cornerback in the draft.
That's
okay?
what he'll excel
And he
at.
might be able to come on for special
I think that's what he'll do.
plays
That's what I
at
think
wide
he'll do.
receiver. I think that is realistic.
I could see him getting 10 possessions on offense a game or something like that.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, that's what I
10
see.
plays. He goes in for 10 plays.
Yep,
Yeah.
10 plays.
There's a certain package that you call the Travis Hunter package, and he goes in with that.
Yep.
I think that's realistic.
Yep, I think he is going to focus on defense.
But don't get me wrong. If he goes to the wrong organization, which I don't think Deion Sanders will let happen, but if he did, there might be a team out there willing to say, we're going to try and push this kid to play both ways all the time.
Yeah, and he's going to want to. He's going to want to because of the money he can make. If he becomes a legitimate two-way player, his shoe contracts, everything's will be, out off the
His
charts.
fiance, she's going to be like, yeah, Travis, make some more money.
You take my money
If he...
When I'm in need.
Oh, Lord. We're going to get blocked on YouTube for this for more than one reason. Okay, so I want to move on to something else. The football season is over. Okay. But I was just thinking of this, and I've got a list of coaches. And if you want to add somebody to this list,
I'm not picking these. No,
go ahead. Okay, there's 2 pages here. So
there's 2. Okay.
yeah. Okay. So I just picked some coaches here.
Oh, okay. The second
Okay.
list is better.
All right. So I wanted to know if you guys were able to play for a coach for 3 years, starting next year and going forward. Which 3 coaches would you guys like? I'm going to give you some choices, but you can pick your own coaches. Okay, each of you pick 3. Okay, could be the same, could be different. I just put down Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Nick Sirianni, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, D'Amico Ryans, Mike McDonald, Jim and John Harbaugh, and Kevin O'Connell. So, and it could be somebody that I didn't mention. Those were just some people that have either young, up-and-coming coaches or have had success in the NFL. Who would be 3? You want to name one? Do you want to do one at a time?
I think, okay, hear me out. Just looking at this list real quick.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of put these coaches into 3 categories. There's the rah-rah category,
Yeah.
where you're like, he's a player's coach where you just want to play for him because he is that into it.
Yeah.
That's like your Dan Campbell's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your Nick Sirianni's. Then you have like the Sean McVays and the Kyle Shanahans, where you want to play for them because you honestly think they're the smartest people on the field, right? Okay. So you have your smart minds, your Sean Paytons, your Kyle Shanahans, your Sean McVays, maybe your, I don't know, Matt LaFleur. Okay. And then you have the just likable coaches where you feel like, I'd love to have dinner with that guy.
Yeah.
That's your Andy Reids, right? Your Jim and John Harbaughs, which Jim might be on the Nick Sirianni, Dan Campbell side, but I think Jim's a very likable guy. Your Kevin O'Connell's. Well, Kevin O'Connell's very smart, too. He can maybe fall on both the smart page, too. Your
Mike
Pete
McDaniel
Carrolls,
will be fun.
Your Andy Reids and your Pete Carrolls, they all fall in the same category. I think you got 3 categories there. Okay, I'm ready.
But if you were a player and you you're a free agent, whatever, and you could just go play for, and you were picking a team by a coach,
I'll give you my number 1 pick right now.
who would be your number 1 pick?
Easy, Nick Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni.
You know why? I just
Okay.
want to say, the reason I picked Nick Sirianni, I knew that he was a coach that I wanted to play for. And I'm sorry, Cameron. When we lost the Super Bowl, and then we went back and played Kansas City the next following year before we had our massive collapse that we'll never talk about. We don't need to worry about that. Okay.
That didn't happen.
That didn't happen. After the game, when we beat the Chiefs, after the game, he's walking through the tunnel yelling at the Chiefs fans. I can't hear you now,
He's passionate.
Chiefs, right?
You love the passion.
And I instantly saw that and said, yeah, I'd play for that guy.
Okay. You like
I'd-
the passion. That's okay.
I'd probably do some unsolicited things for that guy. Just saying.
So your number 1 would be Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Cameron, who do you have? Who would be your number 1?
I thought we were doing this in like a 3 coaches, head coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. I thought
see
that's how
that?
we were doing that.
No, we can do that another time.
That's
but
kind
no.
of fun, though. I
Well,
like
I thought
that.
you were picking 3
Yeah.
head coaches
Yeah.
at those positions.
Okay.
I mean, personally, and this is gonna be biased, but
It's okay.
I want Andy Reid. I want that guy.
He wants a winner.
I do want a winner. I want someone, but I also want someone that's going to take my play style and implement it into his game plan.
Yeah, he's really
not
good at that.
implement his game plan into me.
Sure. That's fair. My number one person would be Andy Reid also. I like Andy Reid for a couple reasons. One, he has won everywhere he's gone.
Yep.
And I don't care if you get first, second, third, or fourth. If you're always first, second, third, or fourth, you're awesome.
You're pretty good.
You're awesome. And he is always up there.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, he's great. But where I would now obviously Belichick's not part of this competition because he's not in the league. Belichick won a lot, but I don't think I'd want to play for him necessarily. I also think Andy Reid has your best interest at heart. I think he shows he's a guy that does care about you as a person too. He's smart. He's intelligent. Like you say, he will try to get you to be the best version of you. He will take your talents and make them be the best they can be. And he's good. So he'd be my number one. Who else?
Okay. Number two.
And it doesn't have to be in order, I
Might
guess.
as well
But,
fly into my number two because it's Andy Reid. So
Andy Reid is?
Andy
okay.
Reid.
Andy
Yeah.
Reid.
So
Okay.
Andy Reid would definitely be my number two. The reason why I personally would like Andy Reid is he's not the rah-rah guy that I probably would naturally gravitate towards. Like,
Yeah.
I always was good with the rah-rah coach.
Yeah.
Okay, that was usually my preference. He's not that for me.
Yeah.
But what I can say is the way that the players talk about Andy Reid
Yeah.
and who he is as a person on and off the field.
Right.
I think he's someone who you can relate to really easy, and that's a second for me that I've always found very important is a coach who will be relative.
Yeah.
That's not a word. Is that a word? They'll
Yeah.
relate to you.
Yeah.
They'll sit down and relate to you.
Fair. He's good.
And he's also a winner.
Yeah.
Winners win.
Yeah, and he does. Okay. Number two.
Pete
Cameron.
Carroll.
Oh, my
Carroll.
gosh.
I
Pete
saw
Carroll.
that coming from a mile away.
I grew up with Pete Carroll. Grew up watching him. The guy just smacking his gum on the sidelines. But I think for me, what was always cool is watching Pete Carroll in like practices and seeing how much he, even at his age, participated in practices and like was a player's player. You know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm always gravitating towards those types of people, and so
I get it.
that
Okay,
guy.
so the reason why I rolled my eyes.
It's 'cause that
Pete
would be
Carroll is
bad.
my number two. I think he's cheating off my paper.
Well, I
no.
don't think you're gonna pick my number three.
So, which is surprising to me. It's surprising. I mean, as I wasn't necessarily a Seahawks fan, being that
Usually.
they're a rival. But I mean, I have always thought I loved his passion and his exuberance. I said this
Raider.
once. Now he's a Raider, but I saw it when DK Metcalf got drafted and he went into the locker room, into his office, Pete Carroll's office, and first time he saw him face to face, he said, "Hey, coach," and he's got no shirt on, and DK's looks like a Greek god, and he goes, "Hey, coach," and Pete Carroll takes his shirt off right there. He's on camera, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Now they both have their shirt off. I just think he's a 70-year-old guy. This is awesome, but I just love the guy's passion, and he would be fun to play for, and that's part of it. He's a good coach. He's had success. But he'd be fun to play for, except for when he tries to outsmart himself and throws it as a pass play in the Super Bowl. But other than that, he would be fun to watch and fun to play for. So what about number three? Who would be a third person?
This is a toss-up for me. I'm going to go the route that I probably want to go in this situation, but I could tell you that like we're splitting hairs here for me. And the two people I'd be picking between would be just Jim Harbaugh and Sean McVay. I think personally, I'm a Jim Harbaugh guy.
Now, Jim is the old 49er coach, now Chargers. Not
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm a
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh guy.
Yeah. He's a great coach.
What I like about Jim is he builds a culture. It's
Yes.
another thing that I always thought was really unique about Jim. He wins everywhere he goes. Another guy, he's done it at the highest level at college multiple times.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he's now, going to be doing it at the highest level for the NFL.
Yep.
So, I think Jim's one of those guys. The difference between him and John, obviously John's won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But the difference between him and Jim is just like I feel like Jim is also the type of coach who's going to be there for his players. So,
Yep. Yeah.
anyways,
No, people love playing for Jim. Yes. Who do you have?
This one might be a weird one, but give me Mr. Miami. Give me Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel.
I totally could have saw that one coming. I could have guessed your whole list.
I love Mike McDaniel.
I get it.
love his energy. I love the vibe that he brings. And I also love that, like, him and his players, there's not like a hierarchy. They're just kind of like, to him, to what it seems, they're kind of like equals.
Yeah.
They're kind of just all playing together.
Yeah.
And I just love it. And I love his just sort of like energy that he gives off.
I think there's two coaches that I'd want to play for if it was for just fun and like the ride. Dan Campbell would be one, and Mike McDaniel would be the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He reminds me like a frat boy that is coaching and just seems like a lot of fun.
He what really changed my opinion about him though was when Tua got another concussion this year.
Yeah.
And the way he responded to that. He went over to him and just was like, "You're the leader of this family," or something along those lines. And I was just like, "Wow, that's cool."
Yeah.
You could tell he was broken about it. So I would pick John Harbaugh. The way he's won, he also treats his people really well, and he truly looks like he cares. It's kind of the same theme. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have excellence, and you got to care about your people.
Yep.
That's who I'd want to play for. So those would be my people.
I had an honorable mention.
Who's that?
Mr. John Madden.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah.
John Madden was the man.
Mm-hmm.
John Madden was great. Yeah. Now, off the cuff, who would be a coach that you would think I would not have wanted to play for? That not that's coaching now. You can name any coach. I'll go first because I just came up with this thought. Okay. I would not want to play for Bill Parcells. I don't know if you remember. He was an older coach, but he was hard nosed. He was a Super Bowl champion, but he was I thought a jerk. Is it Buddy Ryan back with the Philadelphia Eagles for? I think he was a defensive coordinator for them, and then
Bears.
he was with the Bears and maybe the Oilers or something before his Tennessee. Those were just hardcore coaches. But is there a coach that you guys can think of that you'd say, man, I wouldn't want to play for that guy?
I don't know. I always thought that I probably wouldn't like Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin?
I don't know.
Okay.
He gives off like the. I don't want to talk to you vibes.
Yeah, I haven't smiled in a decade. Yeah.
He's like the opposite of Jalen Hurts. So like Jalen Hurts doesn't smile, but you're like, he's all right.
Yeah, Bill Belichick doesn't seem like the funnest guy to be around either. You know, he
seems really dry from what I've heard from players, especially the Julian.
And I'm sorry, it's creepy. His girlfriend situation is creepy. The guy is closer to 100 and she's closer to 0. I mean, that is just off. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you do you, but whatever. I just think that is just wrong.
He traded in for a newer model, dude.
I'm sorry. She was just at some, I don't know, they were at some award, and fortunately he was wearing a lot and she wasn't wearing very much. I just think it's creepy to have great-great-grandpa.
He's young at heart,
He is not young at heart. That heart is old. And I could keep going. Anyway.
Ticker still works, clearly.
Well, listen, anyway.
She ain't complaining.
Yeah.
She ain't complaining.
They're happy. It's their business, but it's creepy to me.
Cameron, I'm starting to think.
What?
I'm starting to think. She take my money
when I'm in need.
Do you have somebody that you want to mention?
Yeah, Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he just seems like the kind of guy that would just get in your face all
He
the
was
time.
intense.
And I know my personality. If he got in my face too often, he'd get a helmet to the noggin.
Yeah.
You know, I'd just headbutt him.
Yep.
It just wouldn't have ended well.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's why he's out of a job, is because he kicked a kicker
in
the head.
Well, you had that with PJ Carlesimo. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he was a coach. He coached for the Blazers and different things. But Sprewell, I think he was with Golden State way back in the day. But Sprewell had had enough and choked him, and he got suspended for like 60 games or whatever. And you see, when PJ was getting interviewed, you saw his handprints that were left on him. So anyway. Coaching in the NFL. I think there's a lot of good coaches. A lot of good coaches right now. What's that?
Nothing.
The way he went from he was choking him to and we're moving on.
And la la la. Beautiful days. I'm sure they're getting along really well now. I think they made peace. I don't know if you heard this thing. Last thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
NFL. Josh Allen wins the MVP. I think it's awesome that he won the MVP. I'm happy for him. He had a great year. Lamar Jackson also had a great year. Saquon Barkley had a great year. But here Josh Allen does this, and then during his speech, he gives credit to some people, and he was like, he gave credit to everybody. And he gave credit to his mailman, the Buffalo Bills mailman, Slick Rick. He mentions this guy, and Slick Rick is like, I just got mentioned on national TV. And he's like, this is so cool. And then a week later, he kind of blew up. And then he gets a new car from a local dealership. And this whole guy's life has just been changed. And he's just a regular mailman. I just thought it was such a cool story. And he goes, Josh Allen changed my life forever. And I just thought that was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's amazing the power of what some of these people can do. And it reminded me a little bit of the A.J. Brown when he's reading that book on the sideline, and they find out who the author is, and he's like 100,000th on the bestsellers list, and he goes to number 1 within hours.
Yeah.
It's just crazy the power of having an athlete support you.
Yeah.
I just thought that was pretty cool. What are your guys' thoughts?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I mean, you should expect stuff like that from Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He just seems like a really down to earth guy. You know, it reminds me too of like the AJ Brown, the kid that shielded his sister from the plane crash in Philadelphia. Did you hear about that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so basically that there was that plane crash in Philadelphia like right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the little boy, he jumped over his sister.
Oh, yes.
And he got hit by shrapnel.
Yes.
And he was out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when his dad woke him up, his dad was like, he was like, Dad,
That's cool.
did I miss the game?
Yeah.
And
did we win?
Yeah, did we
Did
win
we
or
win?
something like
Yeah.
that? And his dad's like, no, it's next Sunday, because he had thought he had missed
Right.
Sunday because he woke up on a Monday.
That's a cool story.
And anyways, AJ Brown went to visit him and his family.
Yeah.
And got like gifts for him and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because AJ Brown tweeted at him and said, "We're gonna win this thing for you. If I win it, I'll come see you," or something like that.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's just stuff like
That's
that
cool.
where it's like
That's cool.
when you see the human side to a lot of these players.
Yeah.
That really is such a cool thing. Like that's what kills me is like we had the quarterback documentary on Netflix where you got to see into Patrick Mahomes' life.
Yeah.
And the way he balances his life is insane. And you see the human in who he is. And I think that's so cool. And then like the Kelseys, where they did Jason and Kylie and the kids and stuff like that. Another thing where you got to see the human and who they were. And I just don't understand the NFL used to be so good at that.
Yeah.
Like, remember there was, when we were kids, there was the NFL, what was it, NFL Films? Where it was like, it seemed like you knew every football player from the 60s to the early 2000s, their whole life story.
Yeah.
And it just feels like the NFL's not doing that in the same manner as they were.
No, there's a lot of things. That, one thing I thought was really cool about the Kelsey brothers is seeing the way they truly care about each other. And when you have Travis, who has been a remarkable tight end, as good as anybody ever, and he just was talking recently about how he's the worst of the brothers talent-wise and whatnot, and he talks about how coaches honor Jason Kelsey, and they say, oh, your brother's amazing, your brother's a great talent. I just think it's cool how they support each other. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
And Travis Kelsey's as good as it comes.
I will say that they came and they did the podcast, and I remember the podcast after Travis beat Jason in the Super Bowl. I remember thinking, man, that's got to be hard to be Jason.
Yeah.
But I will say for Travis, who is now the only brother in football, and they did the podcast after the Super Bowl, I can only imagine how hard that had to be for him.
Yep, because they care about each other.
Yeah, because Jason truly cares. And, of course, I'm sure part of Jason's excited.
Yep.
Because his friends that he played football with for years, I mean, like Lane Johnson, he played football with Lane Johnson for 12-something years,
Yeah, yeah.
His friends just won the Super Bowl. But he's also got his brother there who he loves his brother to death.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a large part of him who was rooting for Travis throughout that whole game.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, I'm sure for Travis himself, he probably not only because it goes from when Jason lost, it went from Jason doesn't necessarily feel like a letdown because his brother just won, right?
Right.
he feels like maybe a letdown to his team, but not to his family, because his family's all right. His brother just won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But for Travis, I'm sure he actually felt a lot more of that emotional weight from having to feel like the letdown for his family at that point.
I think as cool as it is to play against your brother, I think it would also take away from the joy.
Yeah.
To a degree, because you can't, I remember the Harbaugh parents, when they played each other, it was like you're happy, but yet you're sad.
Yeah.
And you just want to be happy, and I don't know that your happiness is it. In fact, most athletes say if they've been to a Super Bowl over and over again and they've won and they've lost, the losses are way harder.
That's crazy
than the win feels.
Oh, I have to look that up. So Jalen Hurts just came out with something saying, he basically just said like he thought when he won the Super Bowl, that it was going to replace all the emptiness he had from losing the last one.
No.
He's like, it didn't at all. And I'm like, that's
no,
crazy.
And a lot of athletes will say, like Patrick Mahomes or whatever, when they win, it's almost like relief when you win. And so there's joy and there's happiness, but when you lose, it just lingers forever. You could win 3 out of 4 and that one loss, and you saw it all over Travis Kelce. I did say this. I said this in the Super Bowl. I told you about it when it happened. I want to ask you guys, I don't know if you saw this play, but Travis Kelce during a play just completely didn't even try. And I just saw that the people were finally starting to talk about it.
Yeah.
He just stops. Now, there was a flag on the play, and I'm sure his excuse was, and his reason was he knew that there was going to be a holding penalty, but he didn't try. Like, I rarely see a guy not trying.
Well, I see it in the NFL all the time. It's just not usually with the Travis Kelce.
And Travis Kelce, and while Mahomes is scrambling. Yeah. And Mahomes, I think, got the first down or was close, and he's, he made a nice play, but Travis just stopped, and you could tell he was, I think, mentally beat down. Yeah, I mean, these are long seasons, and I don't know. I was just shocked. I happened to be watching him the whole play, and he just stood there.
I mean, think about it this way. Imagine being Travis Kelce, who has just played 3 of the longest possible seasons you could possibly play.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's dating a superstar Taylor Swift.
Yep.
And he's already an NFL superstar. He's got ad deals that he's doing constantly. He's on SNL. He's in movies now. He's on TV shows now.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy's life's got to be just so much.
Yeah, I he just looked like he spent. And when the Super Bowl, at that fourth quarter, it was not just I'm losing. It was more than that.
So I found the Jalen Hurts quote. It says, it's like the joy of winning. It still had no comparison to the pain of losing. And I was like, dang.
I think about that. I don't know if you saw the clip of him on the sidelines when they were up like 40-6 or something. And one of his linemen was like, hey, man, like, you can smile. Like, we're up. And he's like, the pain of the last time, like, broke me. Like, I'm not the same after the last loss.
There's a famous thing where Steve Young, because he was Joe Montana's backup, he had won 2 rings as a backup. And then when he finally won, they had this gorilla. There's a gorilla on my back. And it was like he just felt like the gorilla's off his back. It's not necessarily joy. I mean, you are happy, but it's just different. So
you know what I'm curious of? I felt this personally as a fan of Kansas City. I felt like this Super Bowl, I felt more relieved that we lost. Weirdly. Because this whole season, this entire season, it was nothing but Kansas City did not deserve to be here. They're not supposed to be here. They are being carried to the Super Bowl. They're going to win this game. It's all set up, and then they don't win. And it felt good.
It almost was like good. You can't use that excuse.
You
can't say that.
You can't keep telling me that we don't deserve to be here. You can't keep telling me that my team is not good. You can't keep
because
telling
it changes
me that
a lot.
lucky.
There's a huge difference between first and second.
Yeah.
And so if you don't win, if you win, then you're going to say it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense.
I felt like sort of relieved that we lost.
I understand. I understand that. Well, we will see what goes on. I think hopefully my recommendation next year to get back to some of the things that we were talking about in the NBA, I think they should just start off the NBA game next time. just throw down, just start punching each other. I think the viewership would go up mightily, but hopefully they'll see some passion going up, and we're going to be talking NFL coming up because we got the draft, we got free agency, because actually championships are actually won during this time of the year.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. It is great to have you back, Cameron. We'll look forward to having Drew back also. And we will see you guys next week. Again, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please quickly hit that button. We really appreciate it. Thank you, and we will see you soon.